He expressed warnings to others of a force so menacing and unbeatable, it could only be described as supernatural. He called them ghosts.
Hello there, Sir from 17 once again. This is my Call of Duty Ghosts Veteran Difficulty video walkthrough. This is Mission 7, this is Federation Day, and we're using a facial recognition tool on top of a rifle or something. And you do not want to pick him out, he's not the guy. The guy you need is the guy who gets off the chopper in the suit. There he is. Looking very fashionable. Obviously you can't scan his face when you're looking at the back of his head, but you can see how low and how bad his hair looks. And I'm hoping on next gen that the hair gets a massive overhaul, because it does look quite shit on most things. You know, a very difficult thing to model. And there are certain pieces of software that specialise in things like hair and those kind of textures and those kind of brushworks. You know, there are... Mudbox was a good one for making like dimples on skin and sculpting geometry. I mean, don't get me wrong, it added a lot of intensity and polygons to a project because it was, you know, really high-end stuff, but you could make a simple piece of geometry come alive with it, and it was really fun to do. And I didn't get a chance to use it too much, but I definitely enjoyed it. But all you have to do on this sequence is scale across to the building. What's going to be happening is we're going to be moving on the zip line, or the... It's abseiling, isn't it? We're going to be abseiling down the building until we get to the floor we want. And the controls on the abseil are not the most fun for a Call of Duty. I was kind of surprised with this. Like, they restrict you for good reason. It's probably quite realistic the way they restrict you, but I felt like I was fighting the controls on this section. And for a campaign that is as polished and as smooth as this one is, for the most, the controls here just really bugged me, because I was trying to move left and right, and it really didn't want me doing it. And it wasn't a case of you're locked in, so you can't move left and right. It's, you can move, but you have to really push it, and it's so laborious to get purchased that he seems to take forever. And like, I'm trying now to go over to the other guy, I'm trying to go that way, and I assume the game just doesn't want me to, but then it suddenly does. And it's just that weird moment of it. It's not intuitive and it doesn't feel good, which is a big surprise for Call of Duty, because everything feels Call of Duty-fied. You know, the chopper sequence is fast and frenetic and fun. It's Call of Duty-fied. The tank section, they finally made the Call of Duty-esque tank mode that we've all been waiting for, which is a tank level at the end of the game where it's essentially high-speed, just rock'em sock'em robots in tanks. It's ridiculously silly, and I had a lot of fun with it. And I'm so glad they did it, because I used to hate vehicle sections. I used to be the guy that, you know, oh, fucking tank section, no! But on that bit, it's like, get me back in the tank. I was having so much fun just drive-bying people with a cannon. It was so stupid. And it looked really pretty too, which always helps. But I'm hoping the thing I mentioned previously doesn't happen on YouTube, because it'll affect a lot of stuff. And it'll affect the people that do 1 or 2 videos more than it does people like myself who do quite a lot. Mainly because if you put all your effort into one video and it gets copyright flagged, what if you only do 1 video a month? You know, you're gonna really feel the crush of that, because you're not going to be able to get any ads on it. You're not going to be able to get anything. And if you're doing it just for a hobby and the ads and stuff are just a secondary thing, then that's not a problem at all. But for instance, if you use the revenue you get from YouTube to buy the projects that you cover, then you're fucked because you can't buy them. So you suffer, your channel suffers, and the people who are fans of your channel suffer. It's just a vicious cycle, and I'm hoping it's bullshit. I really am, because it just seems... Excuse me, sorry. Like, one of the notions that he mentions in the video a lot is this idea that since Google bought out YouTube, it's never been about the user. It's kind of always been about them, you know. They've never really incentivized you for anything, but they've used everything you've done. And I can't really speak too much about that because I don't know enough about it, but this definitely seems like a step in the wrong direction for something that's supposed to be, you know, this free-spirited, do what, you know, you creatively can and upload it and share it while we make money off you and what have you. It just seems bizarre that there would be this kind of thing, because I like to think that we're helping game sales, that we're helping people judge whether or not they want to buy a product. Like, I look at video makers as a digital billboard, or on the side of a bus, you know, advertising this game. If you've got somebody talking passionately about what you've made, saying that they really thought it was fun and it was cool, and showing off some of the better bits, how is that not positive publicity? And it's cost them nothing. It's really done nothing as far as, cost them anything. Yeah. It would seem that if this is true, they want to take that away from us, which is a very sad day if that comes. Like, I get so many comments asking me, is this a good game? Is this worth buying? Is this worth buying? I'm on the fence. I'm glad you're covering this, and it'll help me know whether or not I want to purchase it. Like, a lot of people are asking, is it better than Battlefield 4, which I don't understand a lot of people that ask that question. I know everybody's curious, and I know we all want to compare it, and especially if you take part in the fanboy arguments or the series, loyalty bullshit. Call of Duty is the best, Battlefield's just, camp simulator. Battlefield's the best, Call of Duty's for children, whatever side of the spectrum you sit on. People are interested in that kind of thing. Is it any good? Especially a game like as divisive as Call of Duty, where every year we're all curious of what they're going to do and if they're going to finally make the jump into something really different. And every year they kind of don't. They add new things, they give you some new bells and whistles. Whistles? It's like a whistle with a missile on it. Bells and whistles, sorry. But they don't change much, and then in all the promotional videos for it, they make out like they've reinvented the fucking wheel, when really all they've done is banged a bit of a spoiler on it and a couple of tassels on the handlebars, which, sometimes that's enough for a lot of people. The people who this game is probably aimed at are the multiplayer community of folks who must be crack addicts. I don't know what it is that they get so addicted to the game. Like, I can't imagine the time that they put into it, especially when it's the fourth and fifth generation of the same kind of thing they've been doing. Like, I understand the mechanics of fun, and I understand the competitiveness and challenging yourself. I just don't understand it at the same kind of scale. Like, I got shit. Well, I get shit all the time about, oh, you play games too much, or you're sad, you must have played this game for X amount of hours. Yet they don't say that to the people who put 50 days into the multiplayer on Modern Warfare 2 and Modern Warfare 3 and Black Ops 2, and like, I put 2 days into it, and I think I've played enough. I've played too much. And don't get me wrong, I had a lot of fun doing it, but 2 days to me sounds like a fucking long time. 50 days? What? Like, come on. That's 50 days. That statistic I mentioned earlier, that there's been more hours logged in Call of Duty than humans have ever existed, that just goes to show the amount of time people put into these games. And this is not me judging anybody that chooses to do that. This is me just expressing the fact that I just don't understand it and can't do it. Like, it stems from the fact that my friends can't do it either. Like, my circle of friends are not the people who put 1 million hours into multiplayer. If they were, then I would, because you do what your friends do, and if they come online and said you want to play some multiplayer, you say okay, and you jump on and you play in a game, and a lot of the times you play in a game you don't even like, or you not even care about, or you don't want to play. It's just they want to play it, so you want to play with them. And I've never had that group of friends that are always on Call of Duty, so it's never been a case of it. The closest we ever came was on Black Ops, where there was a lot of XP events that happened when DLC was coming out and on weekends and stuff, and it became this ritual after college of coming back on a Friday, everybody getting online, getting in a party and doing some double experience, and I really enjoyed it. And I think I've put about 5 days into Black Ops 1, something like that, which is probably the most I've done since Call of Duty 4, and that's all because of the camaraderie we had. And there's a part of me that really wants that camaraderie and misses it, but at the same time, I think of all the shit I get to do when I'm not hooked into that multiplayer, because it really does steal your time. Time flies when you're playing games, it really does. Life flies anyway, let alone when you're playing games that make time fly. But it's funny that, everybody's so curious about how good games are, and they're leaving these comments like, is it any good? Is it worth buying? Should I buy this? Should I buy that? What's better? Is this better? Is that better? And that's essentially what they'll be killing. They'll be killing that curiosity if they do what these rumours are mentioning. But that's the end of that tangent, guys, because I've run it to its natural course. You'll also notice that the game has given me another shitty sight, which I'm not happy about, so the first thing I'm going to do is swap the guns. And did you see that then? I picked up a Vector and they changed the reticle on it. I was so surprised when I saw the Vector's aimer. And I believe, looking at it, it's very similar to the M4 or a bunch of aimers from the other game. Like, if you've ever used the Vector in Modern Warfare 2, or if you've used it in Black Ops 2, it's got a very distinctive aimer, a reticle, an iron sight, whatever you want to call it. It looks really distinctive. And on this one, they've kind of turned it into that identikit one that almost every gun has. Like, it looks so FAMASy slash, you know, M4-y. And I'm not saying it's a bad reticle. I think it's probably one of the better iron sights. It's just, I anticipated a sight and I didn't get it, and, you know, I'm like a spoilt baby who's been put in the corner and I want to be somewhere else. There's an achievement right here. You do take damage, but it's all good, it doesn't kill you. It's called Catch the Photocopier with Your Face, and for obvious reasons. But I got a comment the other day about somebody asking me, do I always play first-person shooters on the highest sensitivity, and how do I get used to it? Which is a valid comment, and it's something worth discussing. Oh, do you see this? Why does this happen? Someone who knows about the technical hardware, or whatever that is, please tell me, because I hate it, and it only happens on Call of Duty and Halo, and I want to know why. What is it about these games that happens? And if anybody didn't spot what that was, it's a stuttering of the hardware, I believe. I'm not online, this is not anything to do with latency. A lot of people call it lag, and it is not lag. If anything, it's console lag, and I have no idea why it does it, but the game freezes, then unfreezes for a second, then freezes, then unfreezes for a second, then freezes. And it does it randomly. I've had it do it about 4 times to me after beating this campaign and going through the campaign again to get collectibles, playing a little bit of Extinction mode, playing about 6 or 7 hours of multiplayer. And it happens in every mode. And I have no idea why it does it. Is it literally the processor suffering? Is it some kind of, you know, slowdown on the tech side? I'm so curious as to what it is, because I hate it and I need to give it a name. Because at this moment in time I just call it like cunty face, which is not a good name, and it really bothers me. But be careful on this sequence here, guys. I did die in this room. I got a little bit too aggressive and I got punished. So you just want to be very careful, because the foliage is cool, I like it, but it's bullshit that the AI can see through it and you can't. You know, if you're going to have geometry like this that's extremely fancy, make it fair. You know, I'm hoping that the future of AI is going to be making them more fallible, because the infallibility that the AI shows really takes the fun out of the game sometimes. You know, some easy things about AI I want to see changed. I want them to shoot your team, I want them to distinguish between everybody and not just you. You know, I want them to miss, I want to program error, I want things where they're not perfect, which gives them mistakes. You know, that makes it more fun and more natural and more better. It's terrible English, but it works. And just make them more human. Make them shit. That's all I need. You know, I'm not asking you to make them easier. Just make them shit occasionally. But back to the topic anyway, because we don't have long to speak about it, because the video is coming to an end. I didn't used to play on the highest sensitivity. It's something I only did for certain games, and I did it so I could control the camera. It was usually third-person games. You know, high sensitivity on a third-person game means I can spin my camera in the blink of an eye, and I can always see what's behind me. I can always get my camera to where it needs to be, and I'm never blaming the game for its inadequacies. First-person shooters, I didn't really do it too much. I was experimenting with sensitivities. Like on Call of Duty, I used to use 3 for the longest of times. And then I messed about with 5, and I messed about with 7, and I messed about with 8, and 9, and 10, and up and down. And then I decided to put things on max. And from that moment onwards, I decided to play everything on max. And my logic for this is a functional one, and it is a fundamental. If you have higher sensitivity than the person you're in a gunfight with, and you have the ability to put your gun on a target, feasibly you should win that gunfight, because you can get to him faster than he can get to you, because you have the higher sensitivity. If you have the highest sensitivity, you have the biggest advantage in every gunfight if you're able to aim. That is just fact. The problem is, we all know that that's not how the game works with things like lag and with things like human error and the dead zones on your analogs. If your dead zones are going and your analogs are a bit knackered, it means you have to move them further than you necessarily need to. And if you're acclimatized to this, it's not too much of a problem, but every so often, like, you try and do a subtle movement on your analog and it doesn't register as well, so you don't get on target as quick as you would like to. So there's a whole lot of elements that come into play. One thing I've noticed with high sensitivity is, while it does give me the advantage in movement, in spinning, and in able to get on target and things, it also gives me a disadvantage with recoil. Any gun that has any kind of recoil needs micro adjustments to keep it on target, and micro adjustments are the hardest thing to do on high sensitivity. That being said, you can do them. It's all about acclimatizing to it and getting used to it, and I still have those moments where my gun wobbles everywhere and I feel like it's like, whoa, I can't control it. You know, if my thumb slips on the analog, or if I get into a spot where somebody's too close or moving too fast and it's really difficult to keep on him. And those are instances where lower sensitivity would be easier, but there's a challenge to it that I enjoy, and I might go back to low sensitivity, but as it stands, I get the most enjoyment and I feel like I'm at my sharpest on the highest version. How do I get used to it is very simple. The first thing I do is I change the sensitivity to max, I invert the camera, and then I play. And it makes the game harder because I'm walking around looking at the floor, looking at the ceiling, spinning too much, turning too much, overestimating distances. But after a few hours of getting punished for it, I get better. The game forces me to get better. I have to or I die. And then you gradually get used to it. And then you go online and it's the exact same process again, because everybody moves faster, everybody moves in different ways than the AI does, so you've got to get your aim on them as well. And eventually you will get used to it, and it gets a lot easier. But one thing you'll notice is a lot of games have different kinds of sensitivity. But I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in the next video, because we've come to the end and this is just a blank screen. So thank you for watching, and you take care now.